The build show today, we're coming to you from my attic where we're going to show you how to do the maintenance on your Zehnder ERV or HRV unit. You're going to want to maintain this about every 6 months. There's something you need to do. We got Chris from Zehnder, we got the unit, we got all the parts we need. Let's get going. Okay guys, Chris Smith from Zehnder here to walk us through the process. This is the Comfo Air Q, which I've got installed at my house. This is kind of their top of the line system, but all the steps that we're going through here today are going to be the same really with any Zehnder unit you might have. Right. And pretty similar steps, frankly, if you have another manufacturer, although we're specifically talking about the parts for a Zehnder. So, before your 6 month comes, you want to order a filter change kit, which is basically this set of 2 filters. We're going to show you in a second. And I would, if this is your very first time, I would also order a set of these, which are the exhaust filters, which are going to be behind your exhaust ports. Then there's an optional step every 6 months. If you have this additional filter, which is filtering the air before it goes out to the bedrooms, that's this change. You're going to want to order a set of those. And then the exact same steps will happen at the annual maintenance, but there's one additional step, and we're going to show you how to clean the core. So, step 1, every 6 months, Chris. How do we do this?
Yeah, every 6 months, and you might check this more frequently, but at a minimum every 6 months you want to go through this step, and it's the filters that are here at the unit. So on your app, if you've got the app, we can do it at the face of the unit, but Matt's got the app.
Yep, so we're going to go to, on the app, filters, and then there's a button that says change filters. And you're going to notice the unit ramps down in speed, right. Basically turns off, and that allows us to not have any pressure on there.
Here are our 2 filters. Matt's is set up so that the intake is on the left, the exhaust is on the right. So we'll start with the intake filter. And you'll notice that these are 2 different colors. That's because they're 2 different grade filters. The intake filter is the air we're going to end up breathing. So we want to filter that at a higher grade. And that is basically a MERV 13 filter. Over here we've got a coarse filter that's just protecting the core inside the unit, so that's a coarser grade.
And also notice when those are installed correctly, the arrows are up on both those filters, facing up.
That's right. Yep.
All right, let's see how dirty we got in 6 months, Chris.
So this thing's nasty.
Look at that. Brand new filter, 6 months. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the amount of nastiness here is going to depend on where you're located.
Absolutely.
So if you're in the Colorado mountains with crisp mountain air, this filter may not look bad at all after 6 months. Whereas I'm 800 yards from a highway, that may be diesel exhaust or something else nasty it's filtering out. If you're downtown Boston or Pittsburgh, it also may be nasty. If you're in the country, it may not be bad. So I'd actually recommend looking at these filters, especially when your system's new, every 3 months to see what they look like. And I might actually be changing my filters more like every 3 months on this system.
So we'll slide the new one in. As Matt said, arrows up. You'll notice that there's these 2 little flaps, and that's why we want to do arrows up. These flats basically are a seal. Once the filter goes in and the air comes back on, it'll flatten that flap against the inside port and avoid any leakage around the filter. So you make sure that the filter is doing all the work.
Okay, so that filter's sliding in.
Just sliding back in.
And the case goes on, and that one's done. And now the next one is the exhaust filter. So this is the air from my house.
That's right.
Going to the outside. And really the only reason why this filter is in place is to protect the core from getting dirty. And look, it's kind of dirty.
Yeah.
I have 6 people in the house and a dog and 2 parakeets. So there is a little bit of dirt. Remember, filters up again.
Got it.
Chris, slide that thing in. And that's really step 1 on the machine. That's all you need to do in the machine at the 6 month mark. Now, optional step is this filter up here. This is the MERV 15 filter, pretty heavy filtration. And this is filtering before it goes into the house.
Right.
And this is kind of a last step. And look at that. It's got some dirt in there. I mean, it definitely pulled some stuff out. And we have
that's after the kind of main filtration too. So
yeah, so it's doing its duty. Now, if you were in another climate that wasn't as dirty, you might be able to vacuum these filters. But I've got a kid who suffers from asthma, and I'm in a fairly dirty downtown location. I'm not too far from Mopac Highway, so I'm gonna go ahead and just replace these guys And I know I'm going to spend a couple extra bucks on filters, and I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, nice and tight, just the way we like it. And then we're going to tighten that back up. Oops, get that in, yeah.
We're hung up right up top.
Oh, I didn't get that all the way through, did I? There we go.
Good.
There we go. Thanks, Chris. Okay. And we're good there. I'll tighten those up. All right, so now that's all the filters that need to happen at the unit. And by the way, the app walks you through all those as well. And then when you're done, you get to the last step, hit done. And the app is going to turn the unit back on. It'll ramp back up in speed. So that's step 1 on the 6-month.
Right.
The other step on the 6-month, though, is all of your exhaust ports, which I happen to have one in the attic right here. These are going to be all the places where you're pulling air out of your house. This is going to be your bathrooms, your water closets. I have one in my pantry right off my kitchen. Everywhere where you're sucking air out of the house, this is helping keep that core clean. And this one's not too dirty, but you can see what it looks like. And we can actually wash this under the faucet and get that dirt off and reuse this filter. Right. But I'd recommend getting a whole nother set of them so that you can pull those all off at once, clean them later, and while you're up on the ladder, just go ahead and put a new one up there and put this back in place. And by the way, while you're up there, if you haven't already labeled your units as to where they go, attic, this one's attic, and what setting this is at setting 1.7. I'd go ahead and label the backside of these if you haven't already. That way when you paint someday and someone pulls all these off, you know where they came from, you don't get lost, because these settings are vitally important. They're each set specifically when they're commissioned. So we're going to put that back in, and that's good to go. So that's our 6-month. Every 6 months we're going to do that. Now at the year mark, every once a year, there's one additional step. And basically that is to clean the core that's in there. Talk me through those steps, Chris.
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do when we want to clean the core, in this case, we're just going to unplug the unit. The memory will store all the settings and we'll have no issue turning that back on. So we just unplug this. We're going to take the special tool. We always use hand tools when we take the screws out of these covers.
It's a T30 bit. We're going to take these 3 screws off and the cover pops right off.
Right.
And then we've got access to that core. Now that core is where all the action happens, where all the exchange of heat and exchange of, in my case, energy or moisture happens as well, because this is an ERV. And this one's not real dirty after 6 months. You really only need to do this every year. But here's the steps. Vacuum it, and you can just use your little Dyson vac and give that thing a stroke. Be a little cautious, right? We don't want to do any extra hard
we're not
vacuuming.
Scrubbing. We're just brushing.
That's right, we're just scrubbing. But then step 2 on that process is take it outside with a hose, or you could do it in the bathtub, and wash it down. Get anything that's any particulate matter, fine stuff in there. Give it a good hosing for a minute. Don't use a hard scrub brush on it, because we really want to make sure we don't damage it. That's an expensive part to replace. Yep. And then while your core is out, you could also get your vacuum cleaner out and vacuum clean anything that's in there. You might find a spider in there, or a couple other things that came in from the outside, especially on the outside side of that core. Yeah. Clean it all out and make sure it's good.
Yeah, that's right. And before you do that, while you've got this open, you've got the core, you've got a lot of nooks and crannies inside this unit, and right now they're exposed. So it's a good opportunity just to go in and see what you can reach with the vacuum. Now,
this one looks pretty clean in here.
It does look pretty clean. So the filters have been doing the heavy lifting here, and that's exactly what you want. But we've seen units that have been running for 5 years or so, and you open them up and somebody didn't take these steps, and they're kind of now it's like, oh boy,
it looks bad.
Yep. But easy for a homeowner, or if somebody wants to hire somebody to do this service, they can. But easy to go in and just kind of vacuum out what you can see. But you can also call and ask to have a Zehnder trained technician come and actually pull the fans out. And after several years, a lot of times we do have people where that's a good idea.
That makes sense. Especially like me, where I'm seeing my filters really dirty. That might be a good option for me every 5 years to get a Zehnder trained rep in to really do a deep clean on this thing. Right. I'm expecting this unit to still be working correctly in a couple decades.
Yeah, right.
And if I maintain it correctly, it will be working in a couple decades.
Yeah.
What'd I miss, Chris?
Well, just on the on washing the core, just a quick note on that. Not all cores are water washable, so just to make sure, for Zehnder, all your HRV cores will be water washable. Most of the ERV cores are water washable. If you have any question about it on a Zehnder unit, give us a shout and we'll clear it up for you.
Love it.
Yep.
That's pretty much it, guys. Nothing to it. If you're watching this and you don't currently have a Zehnder unit, I'd encourage you to either, number one, watch our other videos about this. We did a full install here. We've got lots of good videos that we've made with Zehnder. These are really amazing systems. And I think the big deal about Zehnder is that they will sell you all of the equipment to really distribute that air as well. Whereas other manufacturers that make HRV, ERVs, they just sell you a box and you got to figure out how to integrate it into your HVAC system, how to run all the ducts. This one distributes through my entire house, and I've eliminated all my bath exhausts because this system is doing it. So it's a really, really cool system. Chris,
Cool.
Appreciate your partnership, my friend.
Thank you.
Everything that we talked about in terms of filter items is going to be available at ZehnderAmerica.com. Huge thanks to Zehnder and their partnership. Amazing people, amazing products. Guys, if you're not currently a subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. And in the description, I'll have a link to subscribe to our newsletter. Over on BuildShowNetwork.com, we have 10 new nerdy videos a week about building science, construction best practices. We have an architect showing you all the details from Steve's drawing board with Big Red. We just have lots and lots of good stuff for building really good houses. And I'm really proud of the content that our team is producing really on a daily basis. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, otherwise we'll see you next time on The Build Show.